Hey, Norcal Karters. It is Monday, December 11th, and tonight we have Challenge of the Americas on. We're going to talk about the 2024 season. So we have Andy in the studio. We have Ron White in the studio to talk about Vega Tire Tech. And we have Jesus Vasquez in the studio from P1 Racing Engines. And he's going to talk about, hey, what gear should I run? And so it should be a fun show tonight. And a couple of housekeeping items. First off, thank you. So everyone on the board here, these were our sponsors for 2023. I know Andy's logo, that one, that is 2023's logo. And, oh, really? Is that right? No, I didn't think so. Okay. Everything's mirrored. There we go. So that's 2023's logo. And we'll show the 2024 logo here when we bring Andy up. But these were our supporters for the live stream and the calendar for NorcalKarters.com last year. And so thank you to them. And also thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our subscribers on YouTube. We hit 1,000. So last week we went over 1,000 subscribers. And I was looking at some of my notes. And January 9th, 2023 is when Ashley and I started pushing the 1,000 subscriber mark. So it's almost been about a year to hit that mark. So we went over it. I think we're at 1,030 right now. And at the time I said, oh, I'll shave my head. So I will shave my head. I'm going to shave my head this Saturday, and it will take place at the Blue Max Kart Club on Saturday. So it's either going to be a 1 blade or a 0 blade, depending on how shaky my daughter's hand is. That way I don't have scratched heads, but yeah, it's going to be gone. So that'll take place Saturday at the Blue Max Kart Club. We will live stream it. And so, yeah, 1,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone for the support. And if you haven't done it yet and you're watching, hit like, subscribe, and support what we're doing. And also, in my notes, I said I would do a race entry. So tonight, we will do, I'll mention this a couple of times, but we're going to give away an entry. We're going to use the live stream raffle giveaway. So tonight, the key word for tonight is going to be CCKRA. And if you're wondering why it is we had a donation come in from Team Visalia a couple of weeks ago. So we will do a race entry. So if you're in the chat, you'll have to type in CCKRA. It stands for Central California Kart Racing Association. But yeah, we had a donation come in from Team Visalia, and I did say on the broadcast I will give away a race entry. So there you go, CCKRA. Let's see. With that being said, real quick, upcoming events. Obviously, we have Andy's deal with Challenge of the Americas coming up. He will go into his dates there. NCK Laguna Seca is sold out for racers, but we will be looking for sponsors because we're going after the fans. So for Laguna Seca 2024, we are going after the fans. And Blue Max Kart Club in February, they have a karting swap meet. So if you go to NorcalKarters.com, click on the calendar, there's a swap meet at Blue Max in February. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, pretty much caught up on the housekeeping stuff. So with that being said, I'm gonna hand the mic over to Andy Seesemann. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Andy Seesemann. Hi, Jason.
Yeah. Hi. How are you doing, Andy? There's like 4 of us watching.
I know. It's all good, man. I'm good, man. How are you?
We're one more than Jesus expected.
Yeah, exactly. Good job. Well, we're even with who's on the board here tonight.
That's right.
It's all good, man. Just doing the planning like we always do. I mean, this time of year, right? It's always down to the last minute stuff. Obviously, we got thrown a wrench with our move, that we announced last week. So I have having to back up some things and move some travel plans around. But other than that, it's just getting ready to go. We just got our first shipment of Vega tires in today. So Ron, pay attention to that. So I had to ship some tires, package some orders up for tomorrow to go out. So it's what it's been like.
So you got the order, the tires in.
Yeah, the first round. I mean, I'm having containers shipped directly to the events, but I had to get some ahead of time so folks can just start testing. So I got several pallets in so folks can order them to test. So we had a lot of orders on the board. Yep.
So real quick, we'll bring Ron up as well so he can introduce himself, and then when we have everybody up, we'll just do a random, round of questions. But for the senior classes and the cadet classes, what tire are you running?
The cadet class is on the red, which is the VAH, which is also the 4-stroke tire they use for the CKNA races. It's a very, very, very good tire. It's probably perfect for our cadets, our tech cadet class, which utilizes the Mini Rock as well as the Miami Swift. And then all the other classes, the 100cc as well as the shifter and the OKN, will be using the green, which is the CIK option green tire. The result of the testing was very, very, very positive. So I'm really excited to get going this year for sure.
Very cool. All right. So next up, we're going to bring up Jesus from P1. Hold on, Jesus. You got to unmute your mic. There you go. Hello.
Yes.
So introduce yourself, tell people who you are, and welcome to the show.
Jesus Vasquez from P1 Engines. Here.
So do you build shifter engines?
I do not build shifter engines.
You do not build shifter engines. So what are the 3 most common engines that you build?
X30. Well, the most common is 100cc, KA, Rock, Mini Swift, X30.
Okay.
But this year, we're actually planning to move to doing primarily 100cc engines this year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's been the engine that keeps us the busiest, and we already do probably about 85% of our businesses in the 100cc. So this year we're trying to consolidate everything and just kind of focus on that package.
Very cool. Wow, that's good news to hear that you guys are staying that busy with one package there.
Yeah, so we have a lot of guys. We don't have a lot of guys in the Mini. We have a few guys on the Minis. So we'll continue to do their engines until either they move up or we'll have some recommendations for them. But as long as they were already with us in good standings, then we're going to continue to service their engines. But we haven't been accepting anybody new outside of the KA or the VLR.
Got it. Okay. Well, good stuff.
I find that interesting. I mean, I remember this fall, you basically put out an announcement that said, we are at our limit. We are not accepting any new customers at this time. I thought it was a pretty ballsy move. When have you ever heard a business say that, right?
In karting?
In anything, really.
I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, I have full-time. Morgan's been with us full-time. And just recently, it's actually been probably 4 or 5 months, we have Trini from Empire Karts helping us as well. And yeah, it's difficult. There was a time between all the races, the amount we were shipping, you just start to notice it gets hard to try to get everybody's stuff done the way you want it done. And we were more so taking on clients, but we were being a little more selective, because there's some guys that are just not, sometimes they take up a little bit more of your time than they need to,
Yes.
So this year, this year we don't want to turn away guys, but more just kind of take that 100cc package and focus on that. And, whether it's having more inventory with engines, more availability, and, just thinking of all the tooling and everything just specific for the 100cc stuff is going to make that stuff a lot easier.
Very cool.
Well, and I also think, I mean, you guys know this for sure because you juggle employees more than I do. There's a certain, you have to add you can't just add a few more customers because it justifies having another employee, but then you need way more customers to justify paying for that employee. So there's certainly a crossover point, right? You need this many more customers to get that one employee. This many customers doesn't cover the cost. So I get that, how you guys got to kind of juggle that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? I mean, there's a lot of responsibility there with, making sure everybody's engine is up to the standard. And then you get into the tech issues that you could possibly, it could be a gasket that the new guy doesn't know or something like that. So it just gets harder and harder as you start adding more guys. I find that with me and Morgan full time, and then Trini comes in and fills in the blank on just disassembling or unpacking and packing engines, where me and Morgan can kind of just stay on top of the assembly and the dyno, has worked out pretty well. Adding that full-time third guy, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I want to be that big just yet.
That's a lot of engines you got to pay for that guy.
Yeah, and there's a little bit with karting. I mean, you got to have that personal connection with the clients and answer the phone calls, and it can't. I just find that if it's a third guy, it's going to get a little complicated. At least I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, and then so we'll come back to you, Jesus. Ron, we didn't let you introduce yourself yet. So Ron White from Ron White Racing is joining us tonight, and we're gonna talk to Jesus later on about gearing and carburetors and things like that, and Ronnie can speak to that too. But you're joining us tonight. You're going to go over some Vega tire tech and kind of give some guys a head start. If they're watching the show, they're going to have a little bit of a head start going into 2024, since the big news with Andy is multiple engines in multiple classes and bringing on the Vegas. So Ron, introduce yourself.
So my name is Ron White with Ron White Racing, and I love competing in the Challenge Series, so I'm definitely looking forward to the new tire coming out with the Vega. I love the engine format. It's kind of like I'm looking forward to the KZ a lot because of all the development you can actually do on it. So I'm pretty excited about this year more than most other years, right? You can run the Rock, you can run the KZ, and, between all the classes, you can kind of mix it up a little bit. So on the tire aspect, I've been pretty fond of the Vega stuff probably since 2003 and 4 when I got to run them originally when I was much younger. So I've really enjoyed running the tire. They've been very consistent. We got to test some tires for Andy a little recently between the whites, the greens, and consistently the green stuff was pretty good. So he definitely went with that because I always want it as quick as possible, but he wants it good for the customer to where the tire lasts, but it's fast. So I'm looking forward to actually being on that brand this year, which has been, the tuning aspect of that tire is a little bit different than most. So kind of looking forward to working with it again.
Very cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Ron, and we'll bring everybody up here. And then here is the logo for 2024 for Challenge of the Americas. And you're welcome, Andy. So you're kicking off 2024 at Musselman, February 2nd through the 4th. Now, is that, I didn't go back and look at last year's dates, but is that earlier than normal?
No, I mean, we've been all over the place. Traditionally, we were the last weekend of the month. And then there were a couple years, or at least 1 year, where the winter tour did a flop. So we started 1 year like on January 10th, which was horrendous.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was 28 degrees in Tucson. It was bad, right? So, and then the past few years, we moved into ignoring January, just starting a little bit later because, man, it's as everybody here on this panel knows, everybody paying attention, our off season gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and it's like everything just gets crammed in. I mean, with that 1 year, guys were literally leaving a New Year's party and darn near driving to Tucson, right? It's just too much. And especially now that there's two series that compete with each other in Florida, it's always about finding those weekends and finding the balance. So, like I said, the past couple of years, we were able to work with the guys that run the programs in Florida, whether it be SCUSA or the Winter Tour, and kind of hammer out the dates and figure it out. And moving into the beginning of the month has worked well for us. And then we had to bump the last date because USPKS and us were switched. They were actually the weekend I'm on, and I was the weekend before, so I was the first weekend of each month. And then they had to do a date change because of track availability, etc. So then luckily I have a good partner at Sonoma that I could just bump it and change and go 1 week later.
Very cool. And actually, while you guys are talking here, I'm going to bring up at least some video of Muscleman. Were you guys talking about running it two different directions this year, or was I mistaken about that?
No, the first in February, the opener, we actually were running it clockwise, which we've never done before. I don't know, Ron, were you part of the Stars program when they ran it clockwise that year, like in 05 or 04, or were you?
No, I was doing the car stuff then, and then I know Gary ran it, but I was running the car stuff like that year, so I never got to run it, but I've always loved that track.
Yeah, I mean, it races so very well. So I mean, I wanted to mix it up. So like I said, I wanted to make it different this year to run it clockwise. Obviously we were supposed to be at K1, but they just continue to have difficulties with the county. They just cannot get their permits signed off for whatever reason.
I know.
Good old California. That's why I left you, all three of you guys, right?
Yeah.
But so for the second round, we're going to run it counterclockwise, which has been our direction for 15 years, right? So that's an easier plug and play. So, I mean, I'm excited to be able to go two different ways and have a good time.
Wait, what do you do? You go two different ways?
Easy.
Hey, we have a kid show, Ron White. I need a big red button like canceled.
No,
I couldn't let that slip.
I'm usually the people who call people on that shit and stuff, and then now I'm getting it done to me. So thanks, Ron.
All right, thanks, Ron and Andy.
You're
No, it's just Jesus and I.
Yeah, exactly.
So right on the right-hand side here, we have that must be Derek Wang with that wild suit. This is out at Tucson, so we'll let this kind of just run while we talk. And so Tucson, I have to ask this question, Andy and Ron and Jesus. Kind of make it brief, but your number one food stop in Tucson to give to our racers.
There's a Mexican seafood place in town that is smoking good. I got to look the name up, but I go there every year.
Do you have an idea of where it is?
I'd have to look. Usually by the time you leave, you had too many drinks and you kind of forget. But the food there is super good. I'll think of the name later.
Okay. How about you, Jesus?
There's like some old steak place there, right? That we all go to. But
is it the one downtown almost, the Silver Saddle?
I don't know. We go to so many different places, and I don't remember something specific there, but a steak place, like it's kind of like old school.
Mm. Yeah, there's
How
a few of those. There's a couple we always hit. Unfortunately, the Mexican restaurant we used to hit all the time, Crossroads, burned down this summer, so I had to shed a tear for that. It's a great pizza place called Rocco's Little Italy, which makes amazing Chicago-style pizza, both thin and thick crust. And then, a little old-school Italian place south of the track, Argenziano's. You guys know that one? If you left the track and go to the right like 5 miles, there's a little Italian place pretty much run by a family.
Oh, yeah, there's some new places if you go down to the right, yeah.
And then of course there's always that night you're just stuck and you end up at Subway somewhere or Panda, but for sure we like to hit a couple of those, like Jesus says. There's a couple of good steak places, and the Mexican. Look, it's Tucson. You're literally you're one short trunk ride from the border, so so I mean you can get Mexican anywhere in Tucson, and it's pretty much better than anywhere else you're going to find.
All right. So that's my food question. Got that one out of the way. I always tend to have to try to do that one. Let's see. Let's go. Since I led the show off with gearing, Jesus, how do you find a gear for a track?
Well, on the KA stuff and the 100cc engines that don't have a rev limiter, I typically tell guys to go up as many teeth as they can until they start losing some straightaway. Is usually my recommendation. The stuff that has limiters, that's a little different story because you're trying to find, how hard you need to hit the rim limiter and how much bottom end you need. But it's I usually tell guys gear is usually a sprocket plus or minus 1 tooth. So it's not that tight of a window where the lap time isn't really going to change, but more whether you need a little more bottom or you need a little more top end. But
Got it. And then how do you feel like when you're away at a race or you're back at the shop or whatever you're doing, you're away from your customers and they're blowing up your cell phone with what jetting should I run? Where should I set my needles? And you're 1,000 miles away.
Some of the stuff we try to do now is we actually have a sheet that we put down kind of the general information that someone would need for that, looking at their RPM and also looking at the exhaust temp, and they have a pretty good idea of where they need to be. I mean, sure, we still get text messages, but the sheet and trying to inform the customers a little bit more on what to look for has helped a lot of these guys being able to tune. And especially nowadays too, a lot of the guys that run with teams, the teams kind of get familiar on how you tune. And so you work with them to help and just help them along. So yeah, I mean, most of the guys that do text me, I try to, rather than just saying, hey, lean it a little or richen a little, I try to give them an idea of what I'm looking at so that they can make the adjustments, and that's been helpful for them.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's always been, I always kind of just crack up at some of that stuff where it's like, you and I were talking about it earlier, and I think Ron, I think you guys were in the conversation too. I can't remember who it was, but you very rarely see anyone reaching down and messing with the needles anymore. Like very rarely. And I was watching one race last year, and it was like the first time I've seen it in a long time where anyone in the pack where the engine wasn't running terrible, but they were just trying to fine tune it. This is to the three of you. I mean, have you guys kind of seen that where less and less they're so dependent on the engine guy, and they're just so afraid to reach down and mess with the needle a little bit?
Well,
yeah, I mean, I think
you're calling it messing with the needles instead of tuning it. I think if you're messing with the needles, you're already too far gone, Jason. But you're right. I mean, it comes from where the whole sport has gone with mechanics and tuners and everything else, right? I mean, you got guys that are experts, both Ron and Jesus, who are both experts in their field. It's like, well, you're going to always rely on that expert, but at some point, you have to learn. You have to hear if the engine's 4-cycling, if you have to lean it down, or if you need a little more bottom, if the engine's running hot. I mean, that just makes you better. And I mean, that's the difference. The guys at the front know how to do it. It's the guys from about 7th back that don't.
Well, that's a reality. I mean, for me, like when we grew up, like me as a kid, it was like we had to tune all our own needles and all that stuff, but we didn't really have a dyno like Jesus. You get to tune stuff on the dyno, you get it closer, you have somebody else driving it. So much of the stuff when we were younger, we put our own stuff together. It was more innovative stuff. Now it's a little more cookie cutter, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, is like they're super sensitive on the needles. So at the end of the day, is like you get a new person in the sport, especially junior micro minis. And it's like if they move the needles, they go a quarter turn instead of a tiny bit on it. And it makes the thing run really good or really shitty, normally bad, But if you have a kid up front that's really good, yeah, then you should know how to adjust the needles for sure.
Come on, Ron. You had Highway 85 before it opened to do your dyno runs.
That's right. I did do my dyno runs. I was like 12 years old. This hurt. So I had to build my own body work for road racing. I grew up dirt racing, then road racing, right? So I had to build my own body work. I ended up at like 12 years old, made my own mold, fiberglass, everything, man. That shit hurt so bad, right? But we would load the go-kart in the truck. It was a lay down 100cc Yamaha, and we would go down the freeway. doing like 110 down the freeway. They just open it. I'm blowing past cars. We would exit, throw in the back of my dad's truck, haul ass, go back again, switch nose, drop it on the road, and go. And it was like, this one's worth like 4 miles an hour before the Nationals. So that's how we tested. We didn't have a dyno when we were younger. And my dad did not give a much. He did not care. So it was like, hey, whatever you do to go win. So we would design some new noses, recut them, refiberglass them, and go from there.
I mean, I'm sure all of us have those stories. I mean, that one's a little extreme. I remember when I worked at Sweet Tech, we used to get phone calls with there was a black trailer off Highway 99 near Manteca, and there was a frontage road along the freeway, and we would get a phone call every once in a while. I was like, were you guys running carts on the frontage road by the freeway? Like, nope, not us. Well, there's a black trailer with a big Sweet Tech sticker on it. It turns out it was Mike Speed.
Oh yeah, Mike would.
I did get caught once in my neighborhood in a cart, and the cop stopped me probably 3/4 of a mile from my house and made me push the cart back.
Push it.
That's better than trying to take it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
How old were you, Andy?
30, 32. 12. I wasn't 12 on the freeway after snipping fiberglass fumes, that's for sure.
No, that was pretty funny. My dad was all about it too. That's what's bad.
I think you're still alive is amazing.
How about you, Jesus?
No crazy stories.
No.
Thinking back about the tuning and stuff, I think these guys are right. I think the product that's being delivered nowadays is a lot better. At least with the KA. I mean, we try to create a carburetor setting and the engine package itself to where these guys, I mean, in a way, we're making it really easy for them to not have to tune, because that's kind of the racers nowadays. They for some reason they're scared of the carburetor, but luckily, we make it to where it's these tiny little movements can, get you through the whole weekend without having to reinvent the whole carburetor. In the old days with the Walboro, and if you think back at the KPV, if you didn't know how to tune, you couldn't get out of the grid. You had to turn the thing in to get going, and then you had to richen it back up on the start, once you were wide open. But the product that's being delivered now, I mean, you could pretty much, with the minis and micros, is pretty much set them, and the kid can go out and he can go slow and go fast, and it's all set up.
Yeah, I remember.
It's just
when we were kids, we used to do Baylands oval dirt track, right? So same thing like you're saying is like we'd have it like 2 1/4 open on the low and like a 16th on the high to shut off on the high. And you had to turn that thing in to get it out of the pits, but it was like 2/10 lap quicker on oval track. So it was like on a KT100 with that carburetor. So you're like, you said, if you didn't know how to do it, you're screwed. So,
yeah, I mean, it was a thing. They had the little trigger on the KTs, until they outlawed them. And then you had guys like Han and the veteran guys that could go in and do it manually, and you're kind of watching them and you're like, oh, and everyone starts. And we just got away from that from I think the newer engines, that the carburetors themselves are just better. They tune easier. There's a bigger window, and it's made everything real simple for them.
Yeah.
So we do have a question that came in since somebody mentioned KT100. Any three of you can take it. What's the difference between KT100 and a KA100? Andy's out. All right, we'll let Jesus bring that one up since he's got the engine shirt on.
I mean, they're both 100cc engines. One's a reed valve, one's a piston port. The Yamaha was just it's just an older engine that, I don't know. I mean, the KA's seems to be a better product. It has a starter. The KT didn't have a starter. I guess the biggest difference is the reed valve.
Well, plus back in the day when we were kids, like same thing, the KT100 had a centrifugal clutch, and you had to be on your A game to tune a clutch. So like knowing what stall speed it is. Yes. Nowadays, it's so much easier because right when you come out of the pits, the thing locks up.
Right.
And like the technology and the clutches was like you would make your own stuff, machine it on the mill, and it made a big freaking difference, you know? So
Yeah.
now it makes it easier for the end user, like you're saying too. So,
Yep. So
Way
for
easier.
those of you that are just joining us on the show, we're live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So we have Jesus Vasquez on from P1 Engines. We're talking about COTA, which is Challenge of the Americas 2024. And Andy Series is going to Tucson and Sonoma. And we also have Ron White on, and he's going to talk about some tire tech. So if you have questions, start posting them. And then also, if you missed the very intro of the show, we are doing an entry, a race entry giveaway. So you just need to put CCKRA in the comments, and we'll get the randomizer going for the race entry giveaway. And basically, it'll be a giveaway for whatever club you're running. No, that does not include Laguna Seca because it's sold out. And yeah, there will be some caveats there. But yeah, CCKRA in the comments, and that will enter you into the randomizer. And again, thank you everyone for the support of the show. And we went over 1,000 subscribers last week. So let's see. With that being said, where do you want to go next, Andy? Do you want to take a few moments and thank your 2023 sponsors?
Oh, I thank them all. They're great. Two of them are right here, right below me. It's awesome.
Well,
we've been blessed to have a lot of long-time sponsors, right? Whether it be Jesus or Ron. I mean, Alex Keys jumped in with us a little bit, last year, but now he's retired from the sport. I mean, Ruthless and Forward Direction and Seth Nash. Those guys, like I said, Ron and P1, Jesus, as well as that one's a big one. I'll go back to M2 in a second, but between Odenthal and Sweet Tech and Acceleration, I mean, a lot of these partners have been partners with us for a long, long time. Rude jumped on with us this year. He sponsored we did a cool giveaway. A lot of times you see, and then Nick Leduc with the Karting Collective, the Sodi guys. But, karting sponsorships are funny, obviously, right? They're all endemic. It's tough. We're relying on the same people to help sponsor us. And really the teams buy sponsorships to get the better pit spots. I mean, we want to say there's a ton of value in it, but really they're doing it just to give back to the program. That's why I appreciate them and thank them so much. But like I said, Ryan Rudolph from Rude Design, he sponsored a helmet paint job. He's kind of the new guy in the block, and his stuff is unbelievable. But a lot of times you see, only the podium guys win stuff. So we made a drawing. If you made all three of our events, but you weren't on the championship podium, basically we put your name in a drawing and we drew. And Rantala won it this past year, right, Ron? He won the drawing.
I think it was Rantala.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, here's a guy that wasn't on the championship podium, but he was able to win, a $2,000 prize. Right. So, a lot of that stuff's been great, but I'll go back to M2 up there, Jason. I mean, Mike Giles with M2 Brandwear has been a huge sponsor for such a long time. He supplies us with all our gear, gives me a great deal on all the stuff, all our swag that we sell, and our podium hats. He designs the podium hats every year. And man, he's got contracts with Yamaha and Dunn Edwards and the hat. If you like pastrami, I know Jesus knows what the hat is. He makes all their t-shirts and stuff. So if you're a company in our sport that needs good quality stuff, M2 is unbelievable. I mean, he's right there in Azusa. He's actually right across the street from where the old K&P shop was on Foothill there. You guys might remember. I know Jesus remembers that. I don't know if you remember where they were, Ron, but
K&P? I used to make tires from there.
Oh,
Bridgestone.
okay.
Yeah.
Man, they had the greatest in the middle of the night.
Pretty much.
Man, they had the greatest deal ever when everybody was on Bridgestones. I swear they would take all the orders during the week, print all the UPS labels. The truck would pull up, the big semi would drop off all the tires in the parking lot, hundreds of cases of tires, and they would go, bop, 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 put all the labels on. UPS would come that afternoon and pick them all up, and they'd take the 30 cases of tires they need for the week and ship out like 300 every Thursday. It was crazy. The stuff, they'd ship out most of their stuff, and it never entered their building. I could only be so lucky.
I don't think you'll enter the inventory either.
Yeah. Oh no.
So, hey, Jesus, I have a quick question for you. How long
All
have you been in karting? Because Andy just dropped KMP, and it's like I know how long Ron's been on. We had Ron on the show a couple times, and we've done the history of Ron White, and then Andy's always gone into the history. But what about you personally?
I started with Troy at Adams Kart Track in April of '96.
Okay.
So I was 15.
Yeah, you were just a kid, man.
April of '96.
Yeah.
So you're technically a lifer.
Yeah.
And then how did you get into the engine side of things?
It's a long story, but I worked with Troy from '96. I worked at the track from '96 to '02. In '02, I got hired by basically a dad, and that which was Luis Martinez Jr. Well, Luis Sr. and I worked for Luis Jr. from '02 to '05, and that I started building. I did everything for him in-house. So we had a shop. I did his engine, his driver coaching, chassis. I basically ran his racing, his kart racing from '02 to '05. '06, we opened because in '06, Louis went off to do cars. So we opened in '06 as a business. At the time was Position One Motorsports. And in '07, I bought everything from Luis, and we made it. And I basically made P1 engines since '06.
So you stopped doing the chassis side of things at that point and went full in.
Yeah, I stopped. That was when kind of I officially stopped racing, because I did a lot of racing with him from probably '04 and '05. Alongside with him, and then in '06 pretty much hung all that up, and because at the time I was doing his engines, but we didn't have any clients. I wasn't allowed to do anybody outside of Louis. Yeah. And so people knew that I was people, we were beating them, and they would ask like, hey, can you build our engine? But at the time I couldn't. In '06, we opened the doors and took on clients.
Got it.
And I worked for Luis. It was his company, and we got, kind of got the ball rolling and let people know that I was building engines for anybody. And in '07, I took it over.
Okay.
And here we are. 2024.
On the most popular karting podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out to Isert. So Isert's my neighbor. Population 4 of Galt. Cool. I've actually, when you started talking about the KT100 and then KMP, it's like, wait a second. Jesus goes way back.
Yeah, '96. That was that's all we raced was 3-hole can and 4-hole can. Pipe.
Yeah.
Did a lot of Formula Y there. That was a fun class.
Will you build Formula Ys currently?
No.
Because we have a Formula Y class here in NorCal out at Prairie City Karting. So
they tried to revive that. I was shocked.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like all of us have seen it a number of times where that boat anchor engine that we thought was dead has been revived, and it's like last year it was the Formula Y. A couple of years ago, the Honda CR80 shifter. That thing's had some good momentum here in NorCal. I mean, I think we all know how it starts. These 5-6 guys get together and go, we got to dust off our cart and get it on the track. And
well, as you know, it's all cyclical. I mean, all these guys on this screen, have seen the cycle, right? I mean, I can remember when the KA and the VLR, came, and they're like, oh my God, this is new technology. No, it's really not technology. It's just they slapped a starter, something that's been around, for, when the first 48 millimeter bore 100cc engine was built for karts, Jason, 1959. It was like a Saeta or some Italian company, right? So it's like it's
Yeah.
a Reed, it's a 48 bore Reed 100cc engine. It's not new technology, right? But it cycles. I mean, right now, let's be honest. What started this whole Vega, everything else is the resurgence of KZ, and we haven't seen KZ in a big way, and except for the Supernats, we hadn't seen KZ in a big way in almost 20 years. When Stars kind of pushed the KZ over the mod Honda, right?
Yeah,
the mod Honda went away, right? And
no,
then
that
all of a
was
sudden,
awesome.
it was right, and then it cycled through, and then all of a sudden we were at stock Honda, then it cycled through, and then whatever the word on the street is about the rock shifter or whatever. I mean, I got to be honest, rock shifter saved the shifter market in 2017. I mean, it's
No, it did. It really did. I'm stoked about the KZ stuff myself,
right,
because of just being able to do so much work to it, and there's a lot of development.
As a mad scientist, you enjoy that part for sure.
Oh no, it's fun. You can port stuff, cut stuff, machine stuff, and I'm like, it's so much more open, So I'm stoked about you guys doing this. Plus, you can run KZ and then also run Supernats, and you get to run this stuff a lot more often instead of, for a while you could only run it in Supernats, and it's so hard to compete when you run it once a year.
Yeah.
So if you can run it more often.
I don't want to cut you off, Ron, but I'm going to forget. This is a great segue into 2024. Andy, what classes are you running and what engines are you allowing in 2024?
Every class we have now is a multiple engine class. So starting with Cadet, our tag Cadet is both the Mini Rock, which we've been on obviously for the past 6 years. You can run the Mini Rock or the Mini Swift. No weight break, same weight. I'm just going to let the market dictate how it wants to go. Our 100cc classes will stay the same as they've always been. I mean, we allow both the VLR and the KA. The junior, the difference is significant. So we'd have to change the weight by a significant amount on the KA because of the size of the exhaust restrictor, I think, to get it to compete with the VLR. But in all honesty, we're pushing almost 40 in the junior VLR class. So there's no reason to change that. In the senior class, I mean, we run the KA and the VLR together. The VLR gets a 10-pound weight break, and that seems to fix or at least equalize them. I mean, we've seen them. Both these guys know we've seen the VLR and the KA win races in the same class with the same driver on different days, right? It just depends on, on the day. Same with our Masters class, and then obviously we ran OKN last year. We introduced. Like I say, we introduced OKN to the world because we ran the very first OKN class. I'm still running OKN. I know that a couple juniors have moved up. There's some new interest in it, so hopefully we can build that from the 10 that we had. Maybe we can get to 15. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And then our shifter, both senior and masters, we're running rock shifter as well as KZ. The KZ with a 15-pound weight penalty, and then so. Is it enough? I don't know. It'll be close. Some tracks, the KZ with his power are going to probably be a little faster. There's other tracks. I mean, I think a rock shifter is able to win. I mean, you put Ron in a rock shifter at Sonoma. I don't know. I mean, it's with 15 less pounds, he's going to be hard to beat, right? So
I better lose 15 pounds.
Well, there's that too. No, I'm not going to. Right. So, all of our classes, I mean, you can run a Vortex or an IAME in every single one of our classes. You can run a TM in 3 of our classes. You can run any of the OKN or KZ homologated engines in those 3 classes. So, I mean, we are truly an open championship. The first one of any significance in a long time. I mean, they do it in a good way up here. We have a regional program called Pad Holder, which is a good regional program, almost like Region 7 back in the day or Region 11 up by you-run. That allows multiple engine formats. But I mean, think about how karting, like we talked about, karting last 20 years has been a single engine format. So I mean, this is going to be exciting again. I mean, like I said, our 100cc stuff's been like that for years. But in all honesty, we really have to wrap our arms around as many people as we can in the West Coast. I mean, the West Coast it's not like the East Coast. It's just not. So we need to wrap our arms around as many people as possible, no matter what engine they own. And I mean, I know there's some other engine platforms out there, but what we're offering literally 99% of karters in America have one of those engines. So I don't need to throw another wrench in with some TM60cc. Somebody asked me about that. Are you going to allow the TM60? I'm like, who even has that? Like somebody either has a mini rock or a mini Swift.
Well, you're allowing more people to come and race, which is what we need to do in karting. And that's why I'm so pumped about it, because like the problem I have is running my team where I live, you just have rock. So then to go to run a SCUSA race or go run this race, and then Jesus is working just on KAs when we have all VLR stuff where we're at. So it's like it takes so much time to do more development on another package. And then to get my customers to go, I need to sell them more engines or go rent them or go do something. And it just drives the cost up. At least you're allowing like, hey, you own these engines, come race.
Yep.
And they're, like you said, the 95% of the people own them.
Yeah.
So it's smart.
So two things, challengekarting.com. So that's Andy's website. And then two, real quickly, Andy, Ronnie or Jesus, what is an OKN engine? Like just a quick, what is an OK engine?
I'll defer to both those guys. They both built a couple this last year.
It's just the newest. The newest engine in Europe is the OK engine. The OK has a power valve, and I believe it revs to 16. The OKN is just kind of a slighter, less version of that. It has no power valve and only revs to 15,000. But it's a nice current. The nice thing about the OKN, as probably the KZs, is like just the newest technology in karting. So when you open those up, I mean, it's nothing like a KA or a VLR. I mean, it's just the latest and greatest stuff. Direct drive, so you have no clutch, no flywheel. The engine itself is pretty much the size of a mini Swift. It weighs as much as a mini and a ton of power.
Yeah, plus the rules on them are so much more open. You can do a lot of stuff to them, but like he said, you're stuck with a 15,000 RPM rev limiter, so they do last a long time. And the components inside are like really good components. And if they're not good, you can change them. So the manufacturer gives you a much better product than giving you a spec engine that might vary or is just not as fast, So the OKN deal is a lot of fun too. I enjoy that. It's like a KZ, but a little bit different,
Good stuff. Let's see. I'm going to go through some of the comments that I had set aside here for a second. Since we're talking about engines, Ren Panzer, can you guys address the value or not of choking the airbox at the end of the straightaway?
Whoa, that's a new one. Haven't heard that question in a while.
I mean, the idea is the engine, if it's tuned, in the old days, even the high RPM stuff, the engine kind of leans out, in a way runs out of fuel by the time you get to the end of the straightaway at the high rev. So, you choke it to give it a nice surge of fuel. So when you go back to lay in the throttle, there's enough fuel there for the engine. But I mean, like I said, the KAs and the VLRs, I mean, you don't need to do it. They're just, it's a better product. It seems like you don't have an issue of getting back on the throttle and having that lag.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go a little bit further. Basically, right, because the fuel is what lubricates and cools the engine, right? So when guys would shut the throttle off, Jason, they'd let off at the end of the straightaway and shut the throttle off. Now the engine's running at as hot as it's going to be, and it's getting no lubrication or cooling with that fuel. So that's when the engine's always stuck. So guys would pump the airbox to, like he just said, put a big charge of fuel in there and load it up and get the engine a little bit cooler and lubricated before you got back on the throttle.
Good stuff. And here's a chassis question for Ron. Question for Ron. Will an 05 CRG Cali with 5 races on it keep up with the newer karts?
Yeah, realistically, no. I mean, like in 2005 Cali, the Cali even in 05 was like 3/10 off a Road Rebel. So in like 04, 05, we tested the Cali, And between the Road Rebel itself and the Cali the same year, the waist had a different bend. And we did a back-to-back for CRG, and it was 0.3 quicker on the Road Rebel. So the newer stuff is a lot lower to the ground and a lot softer tubes than it used to be. It don't last as long, most all go-karts, but they just create way more grip. And it depends on the tire you're running, because they designed the go-kart around the tire. But yeah, an 05 Cali is not going to cut it.
There you have it.
Sorry, Gavin.
I guess it depends. I mean, I guess if you're at a local club race without, big heavy hitters, which it's always hard to say because everyone at their club thinks they're a heavy hitter, but
it's all right.
But
it's all relative, right?
But when you race really good people, you better run the right material that matches the tire you're going to race on, So that's why we got to.
That's one of the problems we have here in NorCal, right? We have Sonoma, which is they market it as a club racing, and then you got you, Gary, LeDuc. I mean, all these guys are out there that when they show up to the nationals, they're standing on national podiums. Yeah. So, it really just depends on where you're racing. So if 3/10 doesn't matter, then.
And like Ron said, I mean, if anybody goes to a vintage race, have you ever been to a vintage race, Jason?
Once.
Okay. If you go to a vintage race,
my beer.
You see stuff's built. I mean, the go-karts, some of the go-karts look like, it looks like it was a gate out of your back porch, right?
Yeah.
Karts 50 years ago went the same speed down the straightaway. They still went 70 down the straightaway. They just had to go 10 around the corners because of the chassis and tire technology, right?
Yeah.
All the speed in the modern karts is from cornering speed and chassis and tire. It's not from engine stuff. The stuff went the same speed down the straightaway. Although they were 150 pounds less back then, so it's easier to go that fast.
Well, in the next month or two, we are going to actually do a vintage show. I'm trying to get Vince Paleo on, Ron Emick, Terry Ives, because up here the vintage stuff. I mean, these guys are just going nuts over it. And I'm not going to bag on it because, I mean, it's the foundation of karting.
I'm not bagging on it
when
at
I
all.
hear them at the track, they make my ears bleed. They're so freaking loud.
What were we going to say, Ron?
Yeah, KZ used to weigh 375. Now it's like 390, 400. You're just getting heavier and heavier,
When I raced, here we go. I'm back in my day. When I first got my first go-kart when I was 12 in 1983, I raced Junior 1. Junior 1 was a Yamaha with a full expansion chamber with a restrictor though, and it was on a full-size kart at 225 pounds. Junior 2 was 265.
That's the same stuff I raced.
Stock light Yamaha was 310. Stock, it was like 310. That's 50 pounds less than or 40 or 50 pounds less than what we race at now in our light classes, right? It's crazy.
That's the part. When we ran 100, KT 100, we ran a whole pipe, and it was like 225, like you said. But we dirt race, they ran no restrictor for like the first 3 races. And they're like, no fucking way. So they had to put a restrictor in it.
Oh, yeah.
Thing was a riot.
Yeah.
But more rules now. It kind of sucks.
More rules.
That's why KZ better less rules.
Let's see. Are you guys ready to give away one of my race entries
for the challenge?
The way it's going to work out is whatever club you guys happen to race at, and if you win, just let me know. You have to PM me or email norcalkarters@gmail. If I have to reach out to you, I'll probably just go on to the next person or not pay it out. But you have to, if you win, you have to respond. So give me a moment here. I got way too many screens open. You know what? I keep saying I have ADD, but I think it's an excuse just to be distracted.
True story.
True story. Isn't that what we search for as excuses?
Hey, Ron, how's that build on the new shop coming?
California to deal with on permits is wonderful. I'm close. I'm getting close. I got my hearing on the 21st. I'm getting this thing done.
All right. So the key, the code word CCKRA. You got 5 seconds, and then we're going to close it down, and then we'll do the random generator here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see here. See if we get this right this time, Ashley. Let's see here.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, fancy.
Fancy schmancy.
Oh.
Gavin Manning with the 05 CRG Cali. So Gavin, you got to respond in the comments that you're still here. So you have to respond in the comments in 10 seconds, or otherwise we'll probably have to regenerate it here.
Wow,
So,
10.
You're not giving them long, man.
I'm not.
Oh, there he is.
There it is.
Fuckers in Tucson.
He's on it.
On an 05 Cali.
See, how do you like them?
All right, so there's your winner, Gavin Manning. So, Gavin, I will reach out to you. Actually, real quickly, email me or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, or email me at norcalkarters@gmail.com. I shouldn't have to say this, but it's Karters with a K. So, yeah. So cool. So the goal this year, we hit 1,000 subscribers. We are looking for more and more sponsors to do more giveaways like this. So, yeah, just try to keep it fun. The more money that rolls in, the more we can give away. So if you're someone out there that wants to give stuff away on Norcal Karters, let me know. So I will ask you for a check if you're going to do product. So I want a product and check. Otherwise, if it's monetary, we'll just give it away. So there should be 2 giveaways. Okay, well, I only have 1 head of hair there, Aiden. So I would love to have more giveaways. We're looking for more sponsors. We mentioned last week we have NCK entries to give away for 2024. We also gave away an entry for Daytona. So that went to Jim White from NorCal here. So he got an entry that WKA donated. So again, we're always looking for prizes to give away. It's, make karting fun. So maybe we could have Ron White give away a 05 CRG Cali or something. Maybe Jesus can donate a KT100 or a McCullough. No.
Whoa,
The
that's
VLR. You want to donate a VLR?
An X30.
You'll donate an X30? Perfect. One of your rentals?
I have 10.
You have 10. You have 10 X30s for sale.
Yes.
Yes. Because you're only doing KA100 now, right?
And VLR.
And VLR. So 100. So VLR and KA100.
Will be our main focus.
I think Jesus bought the most VLRs from us last year or this year. Sorry, Ron.
Sorry, Ron. Well, how many shoes did Jesus buy?
I bought a couple of things from him.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, that was fun. So Gavin has an entry. So I'll reach out to, Gavin, you're going to reach out to me. That's how that'll work. I hate to say this. Are you guys familiar with Gavin? Andy?
No.
All right.
Who's Gavin?
So cool. I'm glad you tuned in. So
yeah, because you're paid for the entry for the challenge for Gavin, right?
What's that? No. If he's racing, is he registered? Hey, Andy, let's talk about registration for COTA.
Yeah, this wasn't a challenge entry. This was a club entry. Registration is open at Challenge Karting. I was actually we opened a Monday? Yeah, about a week ago.
Yeah.
It's typical, right? And everybody asks, how many people are entered? We get 75% of our entries literally the last 4 days. So
okay.
Just like, oh, great. Okay, there you go, Gavin. Dirt mod racer out of Baco. Well, welcome to the sport, bud.
Awesome.
All right, so Gavin, if you're running Hills Ferry or something like that, I got your entry.
Just like people call Jesus and ask, what's the gear, what's the jetting, or call Ron and tune my chassis from 1,000 miles away, right? People call how many entries we have. Once again, 70% of the people registered the last 4 or 5 days. And invariably, the people that call me and ask me how many entries aren't entered themselves. So if you want to ever know the answer to that question, you better answer. You better enter first, and then maybe I'll answer you.
All right, I have to bring up something with you, Andy, because I know you and I have gone back and forth on this, and you've mentioned it on other podcasts. But how many people were pissed off about round 3 and 4 going from SoCal back to Tucson because they had their hotels and tickets booked?
Nobody. I haven't received any negative feedback.
Nothing
I
negative.
I think people knew this was certainly a possibility. I mean, we took a risk. K1's taking a risk. I took a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we spent a ton of money. We did a little promotion, but that's money spent no matter what. But everybody kind of knew. I mean, K1's had its difficulties. I mean, I feel bad. I mean, somebody was on the Facebook, whatever. Oh, K1's a joke and blah, blah, blah. It's not a joke. They're just struggling with the municipality. I mean, same thing Ron's struggling with getting his shop.
Well, it's ridiculous. Nobody realizes how freaking difficult it is. And it's so time consuming. And my project compared to that is so small. I mean, it's an 8,000 square foot shop I'm doing, but compared to that, that's a track with all the other crap and you're out in the open.
Buildings and everything else. I mean, just all the stuff, right? I mean, just every time they turn around, there's a new hoop to jump through. And
another permit to pay.
Another permit. It basically is held up on one permit. And Mike Smith has told me once that permit's signed off on, they still have 60 to 90 days worth of work to do. Well, right now, as of today, we're like 75 days away from, or 80 days away from that race date. And that's if that was signed off today, that's if every single thing went perfect. Yep. There wasn't 3 weeks of rain. There wasn't anything that held up anything. I mean, so it's just too costly. These guys know it's too costly to travel and book hotel rooms or plane flights right. So especially myself, I fly in 20 people. So we had to pull the plug. There's no hard feelings. I hope, for God's sake, that they're able to get Riverside County to sign off on their stuff. I mean, you can't imagine, and I don't know what the number is, but you can't imagine how many millions of dollars this thing's over budget from them supposed to be open a full year ago or more. I mean, they're expecting to get some return on their investment, and every day, not only are they not collecting money, they're spending money. I mean, it's a double FU all over.
Yeah, and everyone always says, "Oh, we need more tracks, or we need more of this, we need more of that." Yeah. And then you hear these kind of stories. It's like,
right?
Why are people with money that are in that position going to put that kind of capital out when you just hear these horror stories?
It's the only business plan where you spend $10 million to collect a $115 wristband at a time.
Yes. That's true.
I mean, you have to be a passionate person. I mean,
yeah.
Again, I don't know the numbers, but maybe this was supposed to be a $5 or $6 million project. I'm sure it's well over 10 at this point, and it's still not. It's still how many months away, right?
No, but I we had you on last year. I thought towards the end of the year, and it is still this year. And I think you had announced you were trying to do K1, and you said, "Hey, we're very, very. I don't know if optimistic is the right word, but we're going to give it a shot." And you gave it a shot. I mean, that's all you could. That's as a promoter, that's all you can do.
Yep.
I was going to say, if there was any chance we could do a Saturday night race in Tucson.
A Saturday night race in Tucson?
Under the lights. Don't they have good lighting there?
They do.
Oh, like a one-off summer race?
No, like one of the challenge races, a Saturday night.
The problem is, would you do a Saturday night race and then be back at the track at 7 a.m. on Sunday?
Yes.
That's the hard part. Yeah, you would.
Yes. I'm a racer. Yes.
I've been there till 2 a.m. and then had to be there. So there's no difference.
Yeah. I've been out till 2 a.m. and then been there at 7, but that's a different story.
I was at the track, not at the bar. There's a big difference.
Let's see here. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? I'm actually surprised not a single person asked about tires.
No, I think we're good, man. I think we're all good, man. I think we're great.
Well, I'll see you guys down at Tucson and the next Tucson race. So
that's right.
Should be good.
Yeah.
And I'm scared to see what Jason's head looks like. I bet he has an ugly looking ET head under all that hair.
So how many followers do we need to get a tattoo on your head after you shave it.
Not happening.
Why
Not
not?
happening.
The eyebrows.
2000?
No
Dude, I think we
eyebrows.
will all
Not
get
happening. I mean, everyone always says you have a price, but
just to tattoo you.
The piercing.
if I was to get it, I'm not an ink guy.
Right
So
here.
I wouldn't even contemplate it. But I would get like a tattoo of a butt crack on the back of my head.
Oh God.
But knowing my luck,
How much do I have to pay for you to keep a mohawk?
a mohawk.
Yeah.
What's your starting bid? Like like just a mohawk to keep it for
Yeah.
how long? How long do I have to keep it for?
First Tucson?
He won't come to this race. What's he going to do? Who's going to give him a job to come to my race?
Hey, Ron
You
White,
do.
I'll come down and cook for you.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect.
In a mohawk.
In a
Yeah,
mohawk.
yeah, what's the start? What's a mohawk until Tucson? I don't know. Throw out an offer there, Jesus. I'll even
$100.
shave the side and put a sticker on the side, a P1 sticker.
That'd be good.
Wow.
advertising.
150.
How much?
150.
Oh, it has to be higher than that. I have a reputation to manage.
Oh, good Lord.
No, while you guys are saying that, I'm looking for a picture of the shortest my hair has been in a while, and it was not good.
Mm.
It was during COVID, and
All right, well, lest we digress. We're going to lose viewers here if you're going to start looking pictures up of your head.
yeah, no, I was looking for it just to like here's a sample, and that was like a 3 or 4 blade. It wasn't even a no guard. So
We got another $50
we got
towards
another
the
50
mohawk.
for a mohawk.
200.
Oh yeah, Crow Freeze.
And we
I
I
got
don't know how
one
the
better
mohawk
off.
look. I mean, it's
Oh, look. We got another 150.
Oh,
Matt
wow.
P1, Saragusa.
You're at 350.
You're at
You're at
350.
350 for a mohawk. Ashley's in the background laughing.
Wow.
I think it's
All
starting
right,
to
so
sound
what is
pretty
the
good. now.
proper mohawk line? Like is
Tell you what,
it
give me 350. I'll do a reverse mohawk where I don't grow anything in the middle.
Oh, no.
if we get up to 500, I'll do it. Fuck it.
Wow, $500 for a mohawk.
Yeah, I'll do it for $500.
Oh yeah, I would too.
I'll get
You should.
I'll pick up like 3 extra users on that. Ashley's like, just sign off.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm getting ready to sign off. Well, are we done or no?
but oh yeah, so those that missed it, Saturday, that's when I shaved my head at Blue Max Kart Club. So we'll
You
go
get
live
video on?
on YouTube. What's that?
I'll watch it.
What's that, Ron?
We'll chime in and watch that.
Yeah, well, I'll post the link probably Friday. But there's some other stuff going on at Blue Max. It's like I figure, that'd be a good time. Need to dye that mohawk neon green for 50.
He's
Ooh,
not even up to the 500 he wants.
Aiden go 500.
Uh,
Are you throwing in 500, Aiden? Because that brings me up to what, 850?
I'm
No,
not sure.
I think he's
Dude,
saying
that's more than I've made on this whole podcast.
Yeah.
We'll keep this going. Ashley and I will put something out this week. We'll go through the comments. We'll get a running tally going. We'll see what we get the mohawk haircut up to. Thanks, Jesus. I appreciate you. So it's supposed to be fun. I mean, it's all fun and it's going to grow back anyway. So my wife said last week, all she said was, "I'm so glad you decided to do this after our family pictures." It's like your mic's off.
Byron, thanks for hanging out. All right. So final thought.
Have a good night.
Final
Have a
thought.
good night.
Is everyone dropping
my
all at the
final
same
thought.
time?
We're done.
Oh shoot! Did we kick Jesus out?
Everybody left, man.